external authentication. This is actually not too complicated unless we understand this one small topic there. What is an external authentication? Let us again go back to the basics. This is my Unix machine, or this is my Windows machine. On this Windows machine, I have a database. Database name is, as usual, Focus1. Then there is a schema called as user A, and now I want to log into this database. How do we guys do it here? We do it first thing from your local machine. This is also Unix, or this could be Windows. You log on to this Unix machine using the SSH command. That is what we have been doing here. Using the SSH command, you log on to the Unix machine. So at that time, you are providing the Unix login ID and the password. So after doing that, you are on the Unix machine. Once you come on the Unix machine, you set your Oracle SID, you export your Oracle SID to Focus1. That is the second step. And then you type the command SQL plus A / the password of A. A is the user. So SQL plus A and the password of user A. This is how we are currently logging into a database. Okay. So this is what is called as a database authentication. That means when you are logging into the database, into user A schema, who is authenticating you, who is checking your password, and that is the database. Database has your password stored. When the user is created, the password is mentioned over there. That password is stored inside the data dictionary view, one of the data dictionary views, and that view itself is again user under DBA underscore users. So the encrypted password actually is there in the DBA underscore users, and that with the help of that password, we are going to check whether user A is going to be allowed to log into my database. So password authentication is done by the database. This is what we have seen so far. Now there is another way to log into a database, and the authentication is done by the operating system. Authentication is done by the operating system. As you can see, operating system is a separate entity than the database. Database has its own login IDs, passwords for their own schemas, and operating system has their own users. So you would log on to this this Unix machine with the user ID of let us say Shaker. User ID of Shaker. That is a Unix user ID password. So you are sitting in the home directory of that user. This is, let us say, that logical area which is the home directory of that user. Now from this home directory, you want to log on to a schema over here. So let us say this schema you want to log on. And that time when you type the command SQL plus, you are not going to type the login ID and you are not going to type any password. You are just going to put a / there. Usually you put the login ID before the / and the password after the /. You are just going to put a / there. And then without asking you the login ID password, you will be put inside the database. You will suddenly see the command SQL. You are automatically logged into the database. No login ID, no password required. And if you type the command show user at this time, you will see the answer. Since I don't have space, I will write it here. The answer that you will see is OPS $Shaker. OPS $Shaker. So what is this thing? This is a schema inside the database. The name of the schema is OPS $Shaker. And this schema is actually, the authentication of this schema is done by the operating system. That means if you are successfully able to log on to the operating system, and this operating system user must be Shaker and this database user must be OPS $Shaker. The names have to match there. The Shaker is a common thing. OS user is Shaker, database user is OPS $Shaker. If OS user is ABC, then the database user will be OPS $ABC. So you log on to the ABC account. You have to put the login ID and the password for that ABC account, which is the Unix login ID password. And once you are successfully logged into the Unix, you will not be asked for the login ID and the password of the database account. This is what is called as the external authentication. And why is this thing done? This is done for many purposes, because many of the shell scripts that you probably will write, they don't want you to have the what should I say, the password put inside the shell script, because if the shell script is compromised, if somebody steals the shell script, the password is written inside the shell script. That could be one of the reasons. Another reason is that the operating system guys are very strong on the security, but database administrators are not so very strong on the security. So operating system guys take the responsibility of becoming the actual security owners than the database guys. So you successfully log into the OS, then you can log in to the database without any security. So OS authentication at that time is going to be extremely strong. Maybe tough passwords, 10 characters, 15 characters, all those things. So this is what a external authentication concept is. Now how do you create a user with this external authentication concept? The command is very simple. Create user, OPS dollar shaker identified externally, semicolon. So this externally is not really the password, it is actually a keyword to tell you that OPS dollar, OPS is a special now the keyword. And before you execute this command, you have to create the, so this is command number 2 actually, command number 1 before that, create an operating system user named Shekhar. So create a user named Shekhar on the OS, and then after that create this user inside the database and identified externally. So this is the concept of the externally identified users. Where to use it, as I said, anytime your database doesn't require or you don't want database to ask you the login ID password, you rely on the OS.